This training segment provides the required training for individuals with access to or review of fingerprint results. To assist with this training, we have two special guests, Veronica Franks with Child Care Services, Licensing Records Office, and Debbie McKinney with Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. I'll see you after the training.
Thank you, David. Debbie, it's a pleasure to have you here to educate us.
It's a pleasure to be here with you today. The objective of this training is to assist qualified entities with understanding of access and review, request, use, and dissemination of CRY, retention, physical security, and destruction of CRY, and audits and investigations.
Debbie, what is a QE?
A qualified entity is a program that has successfully completed the application process and it has been approved to receive national CRY.
So Debbie, what is a CRY?
CRY is arrest information provided by law enforcement to state and national databases and is commonly referred to as the rap sheet. This is a state rap sheet. However, if an individual has a state and national rap sheet, both will be provided. If you need assistance on how to read a rap sheet, you can visit the OSBI website and receive information on how to read Oklahoma state rap sheets.
That's great. Debbie, will an Oklahoma rap sheet look the same as, say, a Texas?
They'll look similar. The other states' rap sheets have the same information that the national rap sheet and the state rap sheet will contain, descriptive data, arrest information, disposition data, but they may be formatted differently. So you'll need to get used to looking at different states' rap sheets format.
Debbie, that's great information. We've talked about the rap sheet and we've talked about the CRY, but what is access and review?
Access and review are individuals who have access to or review of national criminal history record information. All of these individuals must meet all QE standards, and we refer to them as individuals with access and review. What is access and review? Access and review pertains to the physical access to the CRY document and the access to the information contained within the document.
So let me ask, when you say physical access, that means this document that I've received, what I do with that, and how I secure that maybe, and then the information is what I share with somebody else. So I couldn't go out and say, tell my son what information I got about one of my workers because he wants to date her and I don't want him to.
That's correct. The physical security of the document is governed by federal law. That information needs to be in a locked, secured environment. The information that's contained within the document is also confidential and must not be shared. Along with that, all individuals who have access to or review of national criminal history record information must complete a national fingerprint-based check prior to access and review. It's very important to get these individuals backgrounded before the time comes that they'll have access and review responsibilities. Fingerprinted for access and review reason code should be childcare/access and review. This should be used for all individuals who are going to have access and review to criminal history record information results. If an individual has been previously fingerprinted for only child care, then that individual's job responsibilities change. Where they would include access and review, they will need to be re-fingerprinted.
So Debbie, if I were a program and just listening to that, I would think, hey, why don't I go out and just have all my employees fingerprinted for access and review to avoid that re-fingerprinting?
Programs should control the number of individuals who have access and review to national criminal history record information to help eliminate any possible unauthorized access.
Debbie, earlier we talked about my son and the girl that I wanted to have backgrounded so I could, give him that information. You told me that that absolutely was not correct. I could not do that. Can you tell me, because I know there's some QE standards and some guidelines, what is that we can do when we request and use and share that information? How do we do that?
First of all, Veronica, you're correct. This information cannot be shared for any other purpose by which it was requested. For instance, the request is for child care, then it can only be used for child care purposes. It cannot be shared for any other purpose. You will not disseminate it to any other person other than the specific individual. If you do share that information, then you must log it. In other words, you must write down somewhere and attach it to the record that you have provided this information.
A dissemination log of?
Yes, yes. The qualified entity status is subject to termination if unauthorized sharing is discovered. So in other words, if during an audit that the OSBI does of DHS or DHS does of, conducts for qualified entities, if information is discovered that they've been sharing information in an unauthorized manner, then their QE status could be terminated.
So Debbie, tell me and tell our programs out there, what happens if they share this information with an individual and the individual doesn't agree with what's on it?
The individuals have the ability to dispute anything that's on their criminal history record. They just need to follow the dispute process as provided in the dispute process training segment of this video. Programs is very important that you not make a final determination until the individual has been given a reasonable amount of time to dispute their rap sheet or the criminal history information on their rap sheet or declines to do so. Programs must consider dispute resolution documents before making a final determination.
So what I heard you say was that there is a segment on this training video that will tell them about the dispute process and that they need to refer back to that for more information.
That's correct.
Debbie, we talked a lot about how we share information, but how do our programs maintain it?
The information obtained from a national criminal history background check must meet all QE standards. The programs must maintain a system of records which establish appropriate administrative, technical, and physical safeguards to ensure the security and confidentiality of the records.
Wow, what does that mean?
Oh, it's a mouthful, obviously, and it just means administrative safeguards are your policy and procedures. Technical safeguards are how you store this information electronically, and physical safeguards are how you store hard copy information. The other thing is your computer screen. For instance, if you are looking at this information and someone comes into your office, you need to make sure that you get that information off your screen as soon as possible to ensure the confidentiality of the record. The mail, for instance, if these things come to you, this information comes to you in the mail, you need to make sure that the individuals who route that mail to you don't open it, or if they do, that they've had access and review background checks completed on them. The other thing is you need to keep this information once it's printed out in a locked file cabinet. The file cabinet doesn't necessarily need to be in your office. It can just be out in the open in a file room, but the key to this cabinet must be secured by the individual who has access and review.
So I can't just hang the key on a nail in the office and then go to lunch?
Correct. And let's talk about what we're going to do with these records once we've used them to make our decision. The programs have used them for that. In-house destruction or commercialized destruction. You can shred in-house with no agreements, or you can enter into an outsourcing agreement with a commercial shredder or commercial company. If programs need more information about that, they can contact the LRO for more information.
We talked a lot about how to secure the results, but is there a way we can ensure that these standards are met?
Absolutely. Periodically, we'll conduct audits and investigations when needed. The LRO will periodically conduct audits of the QEs. The FBI and OSBI may conduct audits as well. Cooperation from qualified entities is required during audits, and the access and review individuals within a program will have a large role in this audit process. The LRO will investigate reports of qualified entity standard violations as well.
That's right, Debbie. Failure to maintain QE standards may result in termination of QE status. Termination of QE status will result in your program no longer receiving fingerprint results and could impact your program's compliance with licensing requirements.
Penalties. Violations do not just impact your QE status. Some violations may result in criminal penalties such as arrest and conviction.
Debbie, the LRO understands the seriousness of this because not only are our programs QEs, we too are a QE, and so we follow the same standards. The OSBI and FBI also audit us. The main thing I want you to remember, though, is that we're all in this together. The importance is ensuring the safety of Oklahoma's children.
As you can see, access and review is a critical part of the fingerprint process, and following these procedures is important in maintaining your qualified entity status.